Most people picture the Antarctic Ocean as empty, barren, just freezing water and maybe a penguin or two. They're wrong. Underneath that ice is something nobody talks about, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Spiders the size of dinner plates crawling across the seafloor, jellyfish longer than a school bus, fish that look like something evolution forgot to finish. And none of it is deep sea. None of it is rare. This is just what happens when life spends millions of years in water cold enough to kill a human in minutes. It's called polar gigantism, and it is one of the strangest things happening on this planet right now. Here's what makes no sense on the surface. You'd expect freezing temperatures and scarce food to make animals smaller. Less energy available should mean smaller bodies. That's basic logic. But the Antarctic does the opposite. And the reason comes down to one thing most people never think about oxygen. Cold water holds dramatically more oxygen than warm water. And oxygen is the fuel every cell in every animal's body runs on. In tropical oceans, there's a hard ceiling on how large an animal can grow because the water simply can't deliver enough oxygen to support a massive body. But in Antarctic waters sitting at or below 0 degrees, that ceiling disappears entirely. Oxygen is essentially unlimited. And when the one thing limiting your size is suddenly everywhere, evolution has only one direction to push bigger. The best example of this isn't the giant squid. It's the colossal squid, and most people don't even know the difference. Giant squids live in deep water across multiple oceans. Colossal squids live almost exclusively in Antarctic waters in temperatures close to freezing. And that distinction matters because it explains everything about what they became. Colossal squids are actually descended from glass squids, a family of small, transparent creatures, completely see-through, small, unremarkable. Put that same animal in Antarctic water for millions of years, and it transforms into something weighing over 1,000 pounds, double the weight of a giant squid, the largest invertebrate on Earth. The transparency disappeared because it became useless in dark freezing water. Instead, the body developed thick insulating flesh and a dark reddish skin that absorbs bioluminescent light rather than reflecting it. It became invisible in a completely different way, not by being see-through, by becoming the darkness itself. But how does something this big actually hunt? The colossal squid has the largest eyes of any animal on Earth. Each eye is roughly the size of a basketball. In the absolute darkness of Antarctic deep water, those eyes can detect the faintest traces of bioluminescent light. The squid doesn't chase, it waits. Perfectly still, perfectly invisible, until something swims close enough. Then the tentacles fire, each one lined with rotating hooks rather than simple suckers. Not just gripping, shredding, whatever it catches doesn't get away. The colossal squid is actually a rare case of double gigantism, both polar gigantism from the cold, oxygen-rich water and deep sea gigantism from the pressure of the depths. That combination is likely why nothing else on Earth got as big. Now, take the colossal squid out of the equation entirely and look at something that should be small by definition. Sea spiders in tropical reef environments are about the size of your thumbnail, harmless, barely visible, completely unremarkable. Find that exact same family of animal in Antarctic waters and you're looking at something with a leg span wider than 2 feet. The reason is identical to the squid. Cold water, more oxygen, no reason to stay small. But sea spiders have an additional twist. They literally breathe through their legs. Those impossibly long legs aren't just for walking. They're the respiratory system. More leg surface area means more oxygen intake. So as the oxygen increased, the legs grew longer, and as the legs grew longer, the whole animal grew with them. What do they do with that size? They stalk across the seafloor on legs like stilts, finding starfish and inserting their proboscis like a straw and drinking them from the inside out. Speaking of starfish, the ones being hunted by those sea spiders are nothing like what you'd find on a beach. A normal starfish has 5 arms and lives about 5 years. An Antarctic starfish can have over 50 arms and live for 4 decades. Evolution in the Antarctic didn't just make them bigger. It kept adding arms like it couldn't decide when to stop. These starfish are also predators themselves, aggressive ones. They'll eat clams, other invertebrates, and each other. In the Antarctic, the general rule seems to be whoever has the most arms wins. Polar gigantism also produced the longest animal on Earth. Not the blue whale, not the colossal squid, a jellyfish. The lion's mane jellyfish grows longer than a blue whale from tentacle tip to tentacle tip. The largest recorded specimen had a bell spanning over 7 feet across. Its tentacles trailed more than 120 feet behind it, longer than 4 school buses parked end to end, drifting silently through freezing waters, almost completely invisible. Compare it to the blue jellyfish, its closest relative in warm water, and the size difference is almost unbelievable. The blue jellyfish tops out at about 12 inches across. Same basic animal, same basic biology, completely different outcome based purely on water temperature. And unlike the colossal squid, which nobody has ever been attacked by, the lion's mane jellyfish stings badly. Contact with those 1 to 0 foot tentacles causes intense burning pain, muscle cramps, and in rare cases cardiac issues. The terrifying part is you can be stung by a tentacle that has detached from the jellyfish entirely, drifting invisibly in the water, still fully capable of firing venom. You'd never see it coming. Oxygen explains a lot, but not everything. The cold does something else equally important. It slows metabolism to a crawl. In cold water, chemical reactions slow down. Digestion slows, everything slows. And when your metabolism is running at a fraction of its normal speed, large bodies actually become more efficient, not less. They burn fewer calories per pound of body mass. They store energy better. The Antarctic environment is also extraordinarily stable. Temperature barely changes. Pressure is constant. Predators are rare. There is no evolutionary pressure to stay small and fast. These animals can afford to be massive, slow, and built like tanks. And so that's exactly what they became. Warm-blooded animals like polar bears get bigger in cold climates too, but for a different reason. Larger bodies lose heat more slowly. That's Bergman's rule. But warm-blooded animals burn energy constantly just to stay alive. The bigger they get, the more food they need, and in the Antarctic, food is scarce. So they get bigger, but never colossal squid bigger. Cold-blooded animals don't have that problem. Every ounce of energy goes directly into growth. That's why polar gigantism goes so much further. But the strangest adaptation in the Antarctic isn't size at all. It's something happening inside the body that you'd never see coming. Most animals on Earth have red blood. Red because of hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen through the bloodstream. Remove hemoglobin and the blood turns clear, colorless. In warm water, an animal without hemoglobin would be dead within minutes. Antarctic icefish have no hemoglobin, none. Their blood is completely transparent. In any other ocean, this would be a fatal mutation. But in Antarctic waters so saturated with oxygen that it dissolves directly through skin and gill tissue, hemoglobin becomes unnecessary. The water delivers oxygen so efficiently that the blood doesn't need to carry it at all. The icefish essentially outsourced one of the most fundamental functions of vertebrate biology directly to the ocean itself. To compensate, icefish hearts are enormous relative to their body size, pumping larger volumes of thin, colorless blood to deliver enough oxygen to the cells. Their cardiovascular system is completely redesigned from the ground up. There are 16 known species of icefish. Every single one exists only in Antarctic waters. Take them anywhere else on Earth and they die. Not because of temperature, because the oxygen content of every other ocean isn't high enough to keep them alive without hemoglobin. They are perhaps the most extreme example of what the Antarctic does to life. It doesn't just change the size of animals. It rewrites their fundamental biology. Here's the part that changes everything you just learned. Every single advantage these giants have, the massive bodies, the slow metabolism, the oxygen dependence, is built entirely on one thing, staying the same: cold water. As ocean temperatures rise, cold water holds less oxygen. Metabolism speeds up. Those massive bodies stop being an advantage and start being a liability. The icefish lose the oxygen saturation their bloodless circulatory system depends on. The colossal squid's massive body demands more fuel than the warming water can provide. This is already measurable. Sea spider maximum sizes are dropping in areas where water temperatures have increased even slightly. Antarctic fish populations are shifting. The boundary of cold water that makes all of this possible is contracting every decade. If that trend continues, the colossal squid, the largest invertebrate on Earth, could shrink back into something unrecognizable. The ice fish have nowhere to go. They can't evolve fast enough. Some of these species take decades just to complete one generation. Evolution in the Antarctic moves in slow motion. The ocean is warming in real time. These creatures survived unchanged for tens of millions of years. They outlasted ice ages, mass extinctions, and asteroid impacts. The one thing evolution never prepared them for was a warm ocean. Because for 500 million years, the Antarctic never changed. It was the one place on Earth where the rules stayed the same long enough for life to go completely off the rails in the most spectacular way possible. The Antarctic built giants, and it turns out the only thing that can unmake them is us.